Wanda.
I just haven't taken my picture yet.
Yeah. Dreaming big.
Dream big. All right, guys, in about 30 seconds, we're gonna get started here, guys. 30 seconds. And we are on YouTube as well. So
Hey there, everybody.
Hello,
Vanessa,
YouTube.
George,
Hey.
Teresa, Kurt, everybody in the chat. Hey, George. Georgia Porgy.
Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, Miss Ivy?
You got a different background, Georgia Porgy.
Yeah, back home.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you do, huh? Different background. Good stuff. All right, so we're gonna be covering part 2 today on some cold call script stuff. Just giving you guys some different sales tips. Sharanda may pose a question. I'm not gonna put her out there, but she may not. So I'm not gonna say what it's gonna be. If she poses a question, that means if she don't, that means she didn't want to. It depends on how complicated we get on this cold calling stuff that we're gonna be talking about today. Oh, they got my main man, John Hoffman.
There's John, admit.
Did you forget to put on the recording, or are you going to record this?
No,
YouTube.
it's on YouTube, so it's recording.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you, though. We always appreciate people letting us know in case we are supposed to be and we're not. It's always good to have eyes and ears all over the place. We
all right.
That. Because sometimes we be caught up and we forget that we're supposed to be doing
Hey,
something.
John.
Yeah, John.
Hey, made it.
There.
Ran a little bit of that famous California traffic today.
Okay.
You don't have traffic in Southern California now, do you?
Oh, hell, it's just, on certain days it can be, yes.
Certain days, huh?
Where you at, John?
In the bedroom community is San Diego, so a little north of San Diego.
Okay, San Diego. Okay, cool.
All right, guys. So quick introduction, then we're gonna get rolling here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Sharanda Ivy so she can go first, and then she'll pitch it to John, and then me and then we'll start talking about some different calling and sales tips here for you all, so we can move forward.
Me sale, they go pick them up.
Oh, John, go ahead, because Sharanda's got something going on in her background. So if you want to go ahead and go first.
Okay, well, I'm John Hoffman. I've been a legal show associate. This is my 15th year this month. Got attracted to the commercial driving legal plan because my other business, when I was self-employed, which I still am self-employed, I still do some business, but was in the truck tire business. And I was seeing a lot of the issues these truck tires are having with tickets and getting paid, and how they're really an abused they're an abused type of employee base out there that needs some representation. So we give them that service. When I saw Legal Shield, I tried to sell them other products that would try and diversify my business, like engine oil treatments and fancy lights, and I felt really guilty about that stuff, and thought I needed to find something that they could really use and feel good about selling them something that would add value to their to their career, to their profession. I started the first 7 years part-time in Legal Shield, and the last 8 years my businesses have flipped, where I was part-time Legal Shield, full-time tire business. Now it's full-time Legal Shield and very little tire business. I'm tired of the tire business. You can tell it gets to be a little bit old after a while, but it is almost the same kind of business as Legal Shield because of the tires wear out. If you give good service, they come back and buy more from you. Same with Legal Shield too. If you give your clients good service, they'll keep the membership and they'll maintain it for you. So that was something that I learned to be my own business, is by taking care of the clients you have, and you'll find that they'll come back. Of course, in the tire business, I had competition I had to worry about. With Legal Shield, we really don't. But that's a nice career path that I chose for myself, and I know the rest of you will enjoy this area too. All right, Sharanda, go ahead.
Thank you. Sharanda Ivy out of Georgia. Been with Legal Shield. I think this is our 10th year now. We're going on our 9th year. Since 2013, we've been with Legal Shield. Been focusing on this space probably the last 4 to 5 years. Chose CDLP and solutions as my major. Small biz, working in this space. Became a student of the industry and Legal Shield, recognized as #1 field trainer, 2019, 2021. We're Emerald Elites with 50K ring earners, and actually earned my ring in this space, focused on this space. We've written over 1,000 plus applications. Last year we was recognized for #2 as small group openers, and all that was in this space, all the accolades that I do have really came from when I made a decision to focus on just one industry and of the vision of the company. I'll say that. We've been full-time with Legal Shield since we started. And so, but when I chose, just a division, my business actually changed. It really did. So, I host the accountability call on Thursday nights. And so a lot of those individuals have been plugging into that for the last, I guess, about 3 years since we've been doing that call. And so for those that want some accountability, but are actually moving in the space, we welcome you to come, show up. It's accountability. It's not recorded. Those individuals are just like a fireside chat. They're just sharing their different daily activities and things that they are coming against and, making dials. A lot of them are making dials. Some of them are walking in, but the majority of them are making dials. And that's what I've done since COVID. I earned my ring at the house. So I used to think that knocking on doors is what I had to do. I missed that, but I do make more connections from the house, so on the phone. So either way you do it, it works. So with that, over to you, Dunbar.
All right, good stuff. So we appreciate everybody for getting on, and we also appreciate everybody who took the CDLP certification this past weekend. So congratulations if you took a refresher to get better at the game, and congratulations if you took it brand new for the first time. So Robert Dunbar, been with Legal Shield 13 years, spent about the first 7 years doing network marketing. After that, I started focusing on B2B because I felt like it was better for me and my personality at that time. I chose the CDLP space after spending about 4 years in the regular group space, meaning that I wasn't going after trucking companies and logistics companies. I was going after any company that had employees, right? Employer-employee relationship. That's what I was going after. So once I got into the CDLP niche, which was really kind of by mistake, I realized that it wasn't a whole lot of support here, which is why we ended up doing this Facebook page and started setting up this training on Mondays and all that, because we felt like going to that training once or twice, when you come out of there, you need to have something weekly to kind of support you. So we fell into this space and started doing that to really help everybody in that space, because we feel like it's niche. It's not as much competition within Legal Shield or outside of Legal Shield. So this is something that we really enjoy doing, really enjoy helping you guys. And we thank you for the support on this every Monday. And I think we now we're going on about 4.5 years. So it's really exciting to have a Zoom running that long and have people just chiming in every week and learning, and on Thursdays for the accountability with Sharanda Ivy. So we're going to talk a little bit today, some more about we're talking about sales, cold calling, all those different things, just to find out what we can do to help, some different tips that will help you in the sales space. Sometimes it's really good to hear about general sales, meaning that, sales is an industry by itself. It doesn't matter what company you're a part of. It doesn't matter what kind of product you sell. It doesn't matter whether it's a service or a product, whether you're going door to door, cold calling, whether you're selling B2C or B2B. Sales is an industry. And it's really important sometimes to look at it as an industry and say, okay, part and parcel to me selling this particular product or service, I want to still understand that there's certain things that you do in sales just because it's sales. And it's always good to sharpen that skill set as well as having product knowledge, right? Because we know that Legal Shield gives us advanced product training. We've got all kind of courses and classes that we can take to learn how to particularly fill out an authorization form for Legal Shield, how to wrap the Legal Shield product around that particular prospect, how to operate the CDL membership when you're talking to a driver. But we want to talk a little bit too about how to sell in general, because sales is psychology. And a lot of the things that we're doing when we're talking to companies, it changes how many touches we have to do to get them to close. So if you guys understand what I'm saying, put a yes in the chat, or just put a 1 in the chat so I know that you guys are with us on this. We need some permission to talk about sales, because sales is a good thing. Everybody put in the chat, I'm a salesman or a saleswoman, whatever you are. I'm a salesman or I'm a saleswoman, whatever you are. Because I need you to be in agreement. I need you to know that you are a salesman or a saleswoman, because some of us still don't know. Some of us still being told, you're not really selling, you're sharing. And if you're telling people that, that's okay. Don't take offense to it. I'm just taking a shot. Don't worry about it. But you're a salesperson. So yes, you are sharing factually. You are sharing information, but you have to own it. Guys gotta own it, man. You a salesman or you a saleswoman. If you don't want to own that, when somebody call you, when you're gonna be upset. Think about it. Put in the chat right now what you think about when you hear a salesman or saleswoman. Because I know back in the day when I used to hear sales, it used to be like, I'd be thinking annoying, stubborn, like, nasty, pushy. So everybody put in the chat, when you think about sales or a salesperson, tell me what comes to your mind first when you think about sales. Be honest. What comes to your mind first? You got to change the narrative on this, guys. Selling is good. Selling pays bills. There's a whole bunch of people who live in nice houses and drive nice cars and provide good college education for their kids and travel all around the world because they sell things to people who want what they buy, right?
It's different. I mean, like, it's different. Now when people call you, I'm not rude to them because I'm on the other side of that. So I think about that. So
that's interesting, Sharina. That's really interesting that you said that, because I didn't do that at first, but I eventually got that way where I started being nicer to people who were calling me sales call, because I identify myself as a salesman. And I'm like, you know what? I'm calling people like this too.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So maybe I need to stop answering the phone like, excuse my language, y'all. What the hell you want? Why you calling me? I ain't give you my phone number. I ain't give you my email. Why you emailing me? I know how it is. Even the ones even y'all that don't cuss. I guess some of y'all I know y'all say y'all cuss, but I know what happens when you spell your toe. Don't be playing with me. So, right, when people call you, it's like, and then you're like, oh man, you know what? Because I'm a salesperson too. And you don't look at it like it's so bad when you're doing it, even though there are some pushy, bad salespeople out there, right? Let's be frank, it is some, but they're all not that way. Sometimes people are calling you and selling you good stuff. They're offering a good product or service, and we don't give them a chance because they're a salesperson, and you so bothered by the fact that they're doing what? Interrupting your day, that you're automatically mean or nasty sometimes. And that's why it's important to understand that sales is psychology and how to do those different things. So yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. Anything you want to add to that, Sharanda? John?
No, I mean, seriously, I really think twice. About 2 weeks ago, I had a guy, he was selling like that product Gusto, for the small business owner. Mm-hmm. And he called and I was like, I really don't, at the time I didn't have time. And I was real nice. I said, I'm really not in a place where I can talk right now. I said, actually, I really don't need that service, but I really can't talk right now. And, he said, okay. And he called me back like a day or two later, same guy. And I took a deep breath and caught myself. And I said, I nicely told you the other day I couldn't talk, but I told you in the conversation that I didn't need the product either. And he still kept on with his script. And I was like, look, I'm really trying not to hang up on you. I'm really not. I said, so I really don't really need it. Let me reach out to you if I need that. And he kept going. And I just had to hit the button.
You had to hit the button. I love it.
I was trying not to be, I was trying not to do that because I was like, see, this wasn't, see. I mean, but he was on his script. He just couldn't get out that script. So.
Yes. And that's really important. He couldn't get off the script. And that's why it's so important to understand that a script, I mentioned this last week, I think towards the end of the training, like a movie, right? There is a script, but the idea of sitting in your trailer and learning that script is so when the movie comes out, it doesn't look like you're reading from a script. So it's okay that you need a script to understand what you are supposed to be saying. But when you call a person, and that's a pet peeve for me, if I call my internet service, I have really, really short patience with this. I call my internet service, my internet is acting up. They're reading off a script. Listen, I don't want to hear all that stuff. I want you to fix the problem. Don't be telling me all of this stuff. Don't be going through these lines. And then when you say something to them that they didn't expect it, they be stuck. Because it ain't nothing in their script to say what to do next. And you can tell that they're reading off the script. And I'm like, I'm a customer. Like, you really carrying me like this right now? I need to talk to a manager, right? I'm all in my feelings, right? Acting the way I shouldn't be acting because I'm upset because I feel like you script reading me. And I don't ever want my potential prospect to feel that way about what I'm doing. I want them to feel like I'm being empathetic. I want them to feel like I've diagnosed them properly and I'm talking to them about a service that they actually need. And that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about today, about diagnosing, right? Doing your homework. Doing your homework, guys, because one of the key things about doing cold calls is that you should be doing less cold calls and more warm calls. And you can make a cold warm by marketing effectively to them or diagnosing them properly. You can turn a cold call warm really quickly. And I want you guys to get out of the habit of trying to force yourself to be a gladiator, for lack of a better word, meaning that we feel like we're this super being because it's like, oh, I can hammer cold calls out. Look, guys, cold calls, you're going to have a less percentage of a chance of closing them than warm calls. That's a fact. That's a sales fact. And if you can turn them warm. It's your job to turn them warm. And I want you all, everybody on here, all of us, to stop using the phone as a lead generation tool and start using the phone as a conversion tool. You use the phone to convert. When I call people, they've already seen something, they know something, they've got something from me. Like I used to cold call like crazy. Like I used to literally pick up the index and I would flip through the pages and just dial in alphabetical order. I've done that. And I think learning that skill set is good. It builds character. But as you get sharper and you're saying, I'm getting better at this, you shouldn't have to do 50, 100 cold calls a day when you've been doing sales for 10 years. Yes, right? Is it okay to say that? Put a 2 in the chat. Because at some point, your skill level should be getting better where you understand that I shouldn't have to pick up a person and just blindside them and just be that great of a salesperson. You should be able to prep them. I send emails first. I diagnose first. I figure out what's going on with that person. I want to make sure that that person is a viable prospect as much as I can before I speak to them so that it's warmer when I talk to them. I know that's not everybody's approach, but you can really take that approach in this space because we have an opportunity to pull their public information and take a look at it before we call them, right? So who can I see? I can see Jerry. I'm messing with you, Jerry, because I can see, right? I see Jerry on the camera. If I'm calling Jerry and I diagnose Jerry before I call her because I have simply pulled her safety score for her company. I see she's got a couple of vehicles. I see she's an owner operator. She's got a small deal running. I'm calling and everything I say to Jerry is going to be letting her know that I know a little bit about you already. Because you can tell when somebody calls you cold. When somebody calls me and says, hey, Hit the button if you feel like you don't really want to have a conversation about Medicare. You didn't diagnose me because I ain't old enough for Medicare. So the fact that you calling me about Medicare lets me know that you didn't do your homework. You're just cold calling me because I'm not old enough to have Medicare yet. So I don't even want to have a conversation with you because I'm just in your database. And I shouldn't even be in here. But if I call Jerry and I say, hey, Jerry, this is Robert, I'm just giving you a quick call. I know you're pretty busy, but I took a look at your safety score. It came across my desk. I'm calling from Oceanside Benefits commercial division. And I want to have a conversation with you about some things we can do to help you out here. And if she's like, no, I'm good. I got a consultant. Now I'm hitting, like we've been talking about that. Hey, look, that's great. You got a consultant. I probably need to get into a relationship with them because they're going to need to have somebody deal with those citations and violations for your drivers. And they're going to have to call somebody. I'd rather them be me. Right? I've been on the phone with this person for 10 or 15 seconds. And guess what? If they don't know anything else, they know I know something about them. They know I'm not calling. Jerry knows that I'm not calling her out of the phone book because I wouldn't know that information already. Does that make sense? So I'm immediately turning that cold prospect warm because I'm calling them and letting them know right away that I know something about them as a company, which to them says, okay, I'm gonna listen a little bit because guess what? You can always get my attention. You start talking about me. We all selfish that way. You call me talking about me, I'm gonna listen a little bit longer. You call me and say, is this Robert Dunbar? You from Buffalo, New York? I'm listening now because how you know that? Right, so because I'm in Florida, so if you know I'm from Buffalo, you know something, you put some kind of information, right? So the fact that you have details on your prospect will keep them on the phone longer. Again, that's a fact. So you've got to be able to turn those cold prospects warm, and you've got a few seconds to do that. You've got a few seconds to do that, and you don't want to waste them by trying to pitch talking about you because they don't want to hear that. Hey, I'm Robert Dunn. I'm calling from Legal Shield. We offer. Don't nobody care what you offer. And don't nobody care about how long your company's been around. I'm just telling you guys. I know we hear this stuff, but I'm telling you, if you went to a person that was a completely biased person that says, let's talk about sales. And you said, hey, look, I'm calling you from a 30-year-old company, a 50-year-old company. We've got 200 clients all over the United States. That salesperson will tell you, nobody gives a damn about it. Nobody cares how many clients you got. Nobody cares how long you've been in business. What are you calling me for? What are you going to do for me? You calling me, you taking up my time in the middle of my workday, in the middle of my business operating. What do you want and how is this going to help me? Because how many clients you've attained in the last 30 years, I really don't care about. If I do, I'm gonna research that. I'll look that up. I'll look at the Better Business Bureau and look at your reviews and all that kind of stuff. Because really, you could be in business like 50 years like us. But guess what's gonna happen if I pull reviews and they nasty and bad and mean and you're a bad company? I don't care. That just means you've been doing bad business for 50 years. That's what that means to me. I've got to be able to let my client know from the start of the conversation that talking to me is beneficial to them. And the minute I do that, the longer I have their attention. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna turn it over to Sharanda and John because I know they got some things they can add into that conversation piece. And if you guys are feeling this, man, put something in the chat. Put a 3. Put I understand. Put I'm not falling asleep. Whatever you need to put. Sharanda.
So early on, I learned that, you have about, and I learned this in group school somewhere. We don't say group school no more, but employee benefits training. You have about 30 seconds to catch their attention. And so, I learned quick, not to say hello, how you doing? Don't do that. Because that really gives you away as well. So, so my deal was warming them up because I do cold calls, from referrals to cold calls. That's what I do. But when I hang up the phone with someone, if they stay on the phone with me, now they're warm to me because if they didn't hang up on me, I can call them back some kind of way and have a conversation with them. Yeah, if they wasn't rude or anything like that, I try to end the call where, even if they're not interested right now or whatever, it's still at a point where I feel like I can call back. and about something that I see on their SAFER report definitely helps me. That's where the confidence comes when I know, about them. Because before Lamar taught how to research, just calling on companies cold, not knowing anything about them, not doing any research, that was torture. Outside of referrals, that was a hard thing to do, to meet somebody and talk about what we do in the CDLP space and not really know about their company or what they had going on. So quickly, when Lamar taught that, it made it easier to have a conversation with them because you did know something about them. I can remember speaking to a gentleman and addressing him, helping with his protected CDLs. And, he was like, oh, I ain't got no CDLs, so that ended that, right? He thought he was good. So, it's just some things just from the verbiage, the language, and then just the research, it really made a difference than doing that blind. And I know people have success doing the blind, but with my personality, just knowing a little bit more, it makes it easier to have that conversation, I think. So that's my thought on it. And that was even, knocking on doors to even converting to the phones, even knocking on doors, walking in, knowing something about your prospect made it easier too. But when you're on the phones, definitely knowing, a little bit about your prospect to bring that into the conversation early. So they don't, hang up on you and they want to listen. So that's my take on it, John.
Well, that's what makes it so nice about this business, that we have the sources to research these companies and know exactly what their problems are. And that's what I've been doing after CDLP training. This is my list of calls I'm going to make the rest of this week that I've researched companies on. And it's brutal, it's not an easy way to go. And when I get phone calls I don't want, my phone usually says scam likely. And that's how I answer the phone. I said, this is scam likely. And if the salesperson on the phone is something worth selling, he'll talk to me. He'll say, well, no, I'm not a scam, but usually they'll hang up. And I go, well, that was probably a scam. If they didn't have enough trust in their product to encounter in a conversation with me, to back up what they were selling. I used to always get, solar panel calls when I have solar panels already. All they do is look on Google Earth. They'll see my house, it's covered the solar panels. And of course, car repair warranty programs, they're endless. They just never stop. Even you put them on, do not call us, push one quickly. You can't push it fast enough to get off their list, and they still call back. So that's how you have to present yourself, not as one of those companies. And the quick opening, I don't even know if you got 30 seconds, Sharon. I think you maybe got 10 seconds.
Right. I remember that number, but yeah, I learned quick to take away that hello, how you doing, that pause type deal. Oh, you wait for the pause, man, they gone. Because you're looking at your cell phone and they gone. Like, oops,
Yeah. No, my wife.
Somebody asked you, John, do you have a dialer? You showed your stat. They want to know, do you have a dialer and how many calls you make at one time? You muted yourself, John.
No, I don't have a dialer. And there's some associates on tonight's call that I worked with a long distance, and we made about 10 calls an hour with them. And out of those 10 calls, 3 gave us follow-up instructions, or call back on later, or I need more information. And so 3 out of 10, that's a good rate for that, especially if you know ahead of time what you're calling them about instead of just blindly calling them. So that's the value of it, because you can not do any research on it. And I remember in my group training I took was with Dave Paperno out in California, and he said out of 50 calls you might get 2 or 3 that'll engage in a conversation with you, and out of those 2 or 3, maybe 1 will give you a meeting. If you do that often enough, every day of the week, you might get 3 or 4 meetings a week out of 250 calls. And that's cold calling. That really is brutal. You know, that'll harden anybody off to do that. And I don't like to make those. You know, I don't like being hung up on. I mean, sometimes if they hit me in a real bad mood, I'll get my extra phone and call them back on another line and say, "Why you hang up on me?" You know.
I text them. I text them back.
You know, I say, I think I lost you, but this, you know, I do that with people that owe me money in my tire business. They don't answer my call. I get my secret line out, and they say, "Oh, you answer this one, but you don't answer the one when I'm chasing down for money."
So John, you said you made 10 calls in an hour, right? And you said you guys closed 3 out of 10. So if you don't mind giving us just briefly, like, what are you saying? Because I'm sure there's people here that saying, okay, yeah, you closed 3 out of 10 or got further instructions, like you said. But what did you call and say to these people? And what did you know about them before you guys called?
Well, in my research, you know, when I do a research on a company, I know their CSA score. So when I call them, and I if anybody took the training last Saturday, they know Lamar Reynolds' script, and it's pretty much the same script. Hi, I'm calling you about your CSA scores, and I see that you might have been fined by the FMCSA. I'd like to maybe show you how we can maybe avoid that in the future. We can't do anything about the past, but no, let's not let happen again. Do you have a few minutes and we can talk about this service that you don't have to pay for? It doesn't cost you anything. Your drivers will pay for it because they're protecting their license. You know, so that's really the opening 10 or 15 seconds. Okay. And then if they reply, and I've had some replies saying, yeah, I need something like that. Tell me more. Or I'm busy right now, but we don't know how to control this. I think I had a call with, I think Willie's on the call tonight, and we had a moving company in New Jersey. The lady was just, you can tell that she was stressed about her CSA scores and didn't know what to do about it. And we had the answer for it. And so I hope we followed up with her on that call. But the first 15 seconds will let you know where the conversation is going to go. And that's really what when you want to sharpen your axe, is do it all in the research as much as you can about the companies. And so you'll know almost as much about the company as the owner does, but you really want to know the name of the person you're asking for too. You have to do a little research on that. Just don't ask for the safety manager. If a company got fined, you want to talk to the owner because that's the one who wrote the check. Instead of say the safety manager, because safety manager didn't have any skin in that game. And so knowing who to talk to and what to talk to them about. I'm trying something new because I got a list of new DOT companies that I've been trying to make some calls on just to play around with that avenue a little bit, because they haven't even been starting their business yet, but they applied for a DOT. So I'm calling them. I'm going to asking them, have you thought about putting anything into your business that's going to protect your DOT number, because it's going to start accumulating safety scores as soon as you start operating. Right now it's clean as a whistle, but what the companies are finding out is that, especially new companies like yours, is that they're going to start accumulating these CSA scores, and they're not going to know how they got them and what they got there and how they can take them off or challenge them. And I don't have a lot to report on that yet. I haven't done a lot on that type of call, but it's just toying with that. But there's a source for those new DOT numbers that updates almost every 2 days. You got fresh 200 numbers. So we really will never run out of prospects to call. There's literally, tens of thousands of trucking companies that we'll be able to call, and we'll never bump into another legal shield associate with that kind of average, So because frankly, there's a lot of associates on the call that will make those calls. They'll make maybe 5 calls or 10 calls and say, "Oh, that was hard. I want to take a break and then try it again the next day." If you put all your, put a plan into action and then stick to it, you'll find eventually you'll get better at your opening statement. And the more you do it, it's the same with the presentations. If you don't do a presentation for a while, you do get rusty at it. So it's worthwhile practicing it, even if you practice it into like a little digital recorder to yourself when you're driving around, or when you're in the shower even too. Just practice your presentation because it keeps you sharp.
Absolutely. No, that's good. And you mentioned something about constantly making those calls, even when you have a bad day, even when you have a bad hour or whatever. Sometimes give yourself a break, even if you say, okay, enough for the day, and then go back tomorrow. Don't do it so much that you end up quitting. But I was speaking to somebody, and I'm not sure whether it was on here or not, because I don't know. I don't have time to look through it, and it doesn't matter. If that person is here, just raise your hand if you're here, just so I know you're here. But we was having a conversation about making calls, and how when you make calls, you will make money even if you're closing people that you're not particularly calling. So if anybody has had that experience, right, put a 6 in the chat, meaning for the last 3 or 4 days, I've made 20, 30, 40 calls a day, whatever your amount of calls that is you making calls for yourself. And you may not close anybody that you called, but you get a phone call from somebody that you called a week ago, 2 weeks ago. You get a referral from somebody. Because you're actively making dials, you will make money because that's just the way it works, right? So it's not always that you're going to close that particular person. It's sometimes just simply, you know what? You're doing the thing. And I think Sharon, you may have said that too, like during one of our trainings about just if you just do the thing, right? If you do the thing, it'll take care of itself. You cannot make an abundance of calls every day and not have some success. It's going to happen because it's the cause. It's not, if you're looking for a result, you're looking for the wrong thing. It's about making those dials. That's why I tell people when it comes to goal setting, don't set a goal to close a certain amount of deals. Set a goal to make a specific amount of calls. The closings will take care of themselves, and they'll go up or down based on your skill set, of course. But the fact that you will close something, I promise you, nobody on this line can tell me, or any other line when it comes to sales, can tell me that they're making 50 calls a day and they're not making any sales. I mean, you could be saying the totally wrong thing and you're going to still make sales because you're going to call somebody that's going to buy anything.
Yeah.
That's what will happen when you make sales calls. You're going to close. So keep that in mind when you're dialing, that if you dial enough, right, you're gonna make some sales because you're dialing, and then in the process of you making all of those dials, you're going to get better. So if nothing else, chalk it up to practice. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Go ahead, Sharon, you say something?
Well, that's like these past few months, like John was saying, when you get out of the habit. So, with life happening, these past few months, making those dials, getting out of the habit of just making dials. So last couple of months, just trying to get back in the habit of making the dials, even though you know the verbiage, you just, got to get back in the habit because we're making cold calls. Well, I'm making cold calls. So it was a matter of getting that, as I would say every day, to dial and get my groove back. And it was hard. But I can say, I told her Friday that, it was easier this month, because, I've been like last month, I went at it, but it was hard. It was hard last month making those new dials. And, I can give her a shout out because, the goal is always 25 to sometimes she'll do 40 dials, and those are cold calls. But, she's been in the groove since about 3 years we've been in COVID. So just banging out calls every day, but then, like you said, you go back because you're doing the activity. She can pull those same lists and she can go for weeks just doing follow-up dials, and her numbers are just falling. So it's the activity, but staying, being active, continuing to do it, because the phone is heavy no matter how much, but it gets lighter as you build that muscle. So definitely it's been heavy, but it's getting lighter now, but like John said, I was making dials the other day and made like 16 dials, set like 4 or 5 appointments, had a call today with a guy. And he was like, yeah, because he had about 6 months ago had an audit. So it makes it easier, when, you know, they've been through it. Because the newer people, they gotta know about violations or something, or it's a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? But when they get violations and they paying fines and DOT been in, oh, they'll listen to you. So it's different.
No, absolutely. So in congratulations, Jody. I saw where you posted saying that you was making dials and you ended up getting either a referral call or somebody called you back. Congrats on that. And again, it's the activity, guys. If you call it and you do the activity, it'll happen. So you were just talking about Sharanda. When they know that they've been through something, they listen a little bit more because they understand the things that can happen. So this is the time, guys. Right. So one of the other tips out here is being empathetic. So we've all heard this, the phrase, "Don't let them smell commissions on your breath," right? Put a 7 in the chat if you heard that before. Don't let them smell commissions on your breath. And that's because sometimes we sell, and when we go to sell, it's like you can tell, and you've been sold to that way. I can tell that you're talking to me so that you can make money. You're not really concerned about whether I need the product or not. Even if I need the product, you're not really concerned about my need. You're really just shoving the script down my throat, right? The features down my throat. Sometimes you're not even covering benefits. It's really important to be empathetic when you're marketing, especially in a space like this, where most of the people that you're calling on have already gotten into trouble before. Right. So what does that sound like when I'm talking to Sharanda and I say, yeah, I saw that you got about 5 or 6 different violations and citations in the last 6 months. And I know that can sometimes hurt. And what we do is we particularly go after companies who have taken hits, especially when they're smaller companies, because we understand that you get in the same trouble as big companies, but your budget may not be as big. And we want to see if we can help you solve that problem. Right? I'm being empathetic to the fact that I pulled some information that showed me that they took a hit or two. You guys follow that? Put an 8 in the chat if you follow that. So I'm being empathetic before I sell, and then I'm not selling on features, because even after I say that, I'm not going to say, well, we do violations and citations. We handle moving traffic violations, or we handle tragic accident. That is me talking about the features from the product I sell. And people, right? And this is not saying that women don't do handyman work, because they do, right? It's funny. This weekend we were out running some errands and getting some things done to the car, tires rotated, alignment work, and all this other kind of stuff. And my significant other has a master's in engineering. And anybody that knows me is, I don't know nothing about no car. Something break on my car, I'm calling my car guy. That's how that works. So we're going to get the car worked on, and she's talking to the car people. She knows all this stuff, and they having all these full conversations about everything from rotating tires to axles to, all these things vehicle related. And I'm just sitting there like dumbfounded, because I'm like, I don't know nothing what y'all talking about. I just pay these people to do this work so we can move on, right? So for me, when I'm having that conversation with people generally, right, it doesn't matter what it is, right? When you're having this conversation back and forth, you have to understand that there's always going to be features that are offered to people, and then there's going to be benefits. How does it benefit you to get this service from me? What is the benefit? And when we were in one of the places getting some work done, this guy was talking about nothing but this is why you have to make sure you're getting an alignment on your vehicle. This is what happens when you don't have an alignment. This is what happens to your tires. They wear more, it ends up costing you more. He completely broke down to me, right, and my significant other, why having an alignment is so much of a serious situation for your vehicle. And I can appreciate that from the sales side of understanding that when we go out and we pitch, we want to tell everybody what the bullet points are on our pamphlet, whether we have that pamphlet in our hand or not. And what we have to understand is that, and like I was saying about a woman being a handy man or handy woman, I should say handy man, a woman being a handy woman. I know that there's handy women out there, but to this point, if a woman walks into the store to get a drill, she is not probably doing it because she wants to drill holes. She's doing it because she wants to hang a memory on the wall. Yes or yes? Put a 9 in the chat. So she's buying the drill to hang a memory on the wall. So what am I saying by saying that? I'm saying that Sharanda, I'm saying that Susan, I'm saying that Jerry, I'm saying that Barbara, they're buying that drill for the result that it's going to give them, which is I've got a picture of my grandbaby I want to hang on the wall, and I have to drill a hole in the wall to hang the picture on that nail, right? Or on that hook. When people are buying our product, they're buying it to receive the result. So we have to pitch the result. You have to pitch the result. After you finish empathizing with them with why you're calling them, I see you have some issues. These are the things that we saw. We know that it's hurting you because of this, that, or the other. This is what we do when our clients have these kind of circumstances. Right? These are the things that we handle for our clients so that this is their result. We have a consultant already, but a consultant is going to make sure they bring to your attention and do certain things that these are going on, but they're going to have to contact somebody that's going to that courtroom to deal with that citation of violation. Our job is to make sure we have a qualified attorney show up so that you get the best results, so that that consultant can now data queue a better result. I'm selling the result. I'm selling the benefit to what we offer. And if you call somebody and you warm the call up in the beginning by not making it call cold, by telling them stuff about them, and then you empathize about what you told them about them, and then you sell them a benefit, I promise you your closing ratio will go up. Because you're just not calling like a madman or a mad woman just saying, well, I've got 2,000 leads to call, so I'm just going to hammer the phone and something's going to happen. Well, something is going to happen, right? Because if you make the call, something will happen. But if you want to have a better quality of prospects, if you want to have a better experience, if you want to get referrals, if you want to increase the amount of sales you make per sales call, I think 3 out of 10 is really good. John said they did 3 out of 10. That's 30%. I mean, if you guys know anything about Jim Rohn's statistics, 30%. That's great. That anything over that, you're an expert. Anything over 3 out of 10, right? You eating anything 3 out of 10. You can make 10 calls a day and close 3 people, man. Come on, you make 100 calls a day, you're killing the game. 30 sales in a day. I don't care what you're selling. You selling anything 30 times a day, you eat. So that's a really big percentage, right? So I want you guys to really be clear on being empathetic about what you saw when you pulled that safety score. And then after being empathetic, sell the benefit to them of them having our service. So John, Sharanda?
Well, I had a prospect today, and I just wonder if anybody can raise their hand on this if they want to. Besides John, don't pop in, John. Don't pop in, John. Not John. No. You come in on the back end after whoever volunteers. So this company, their safety scores, the vehicles was at 33.3%. And the drivers was at 20%. And the last violation was July 25th. It was hours of service, and it was some vehicle maintenance stuff. They had 8 out of service violations. They've had 2 unsafe driving, 1 failure to obey traffic control and a lane violation. And then they had 1 driver fitness. Driver didn't have a CDL. And then they had 15 vehicle maintenance violations. So the question is, how would you start talking to that client if you got them on the phone? Because the numbers are bad, right? They recently had some violations. And they had 2 crashes in 2021. So how would you approach that client?
Somebody raise their hand so we can have you unmute yourself if you want to tackle that question. Yeah, all y'all brave soldiers over there. Talking about you looking for the perfect prospect. She just gave it to you. Somebody raise their hand.
Go ahead, Anthony.
She said, "Go ahead, Anthony."
Right?
I don't see no hands going up.
Anthony coming on. Let's see. So Anthony, you look at this client. Vehicles out of service is 33.3%. Drivers 20%. last month, I mean, all this year they've had violations. Last inspection was 725, hours of service and vehicle maintenance. And so 2 unsafe driving, so that's driver stuff. Hours of service, 8, and 15 vehicle maintenance inspections with 2 crashes in 2021. I mean, what would your conversation be to that owner?
And
Can I ask a couple
I
questions?
pinned you on the first screen too, Anthony. So just so you know, everybody can see you. You in the group with us talking.
Oh, boy. So can I ask you a couple questions? Did they have any adjudications and how many drivers?
No adjudication. They got 5 vehicles and 7 drivers. He said that his drivers, some of them are weekenders. So he only has 5 trucks. He's getting ready to get 3 more trucks. But right now he has 5 trucks. He has 7 drivers. No adjudication. He don't even have a program in place. That's the appointment was set just enough to know that he didn't have a program in place. He has been looking for something. He had been looking for some help because his numbers were high. 6 months ago, DOT came in. So yeah, I would love to talk to you. So the appointment was made. DOT came in, no fines, rating still at satisfactory, all that.
Okay, well, that's some good information right there. So is this my first call with him or I'm in a meeting with
So
him?
the appointment was set.
Okay.
And in the appointment, you found out no program in place. Been looking for some because 6 months ago, DOT came in, kind of taught me a little things. But I'm getting a lot of inspections. I am. I do need some help. Sure. And so the call was today.
Awesome. Well, first I'll thank him for giving me the opportunity to, sit with him and share the information that he shared with me pertaining to his company. And then I got to find out if his drivers are owner operator. Or,
he owns them.
He owns
the trucks.
Awesome.
He owns the equipment.
Awesome. So if he shared all that, and I'll ask him, has he tried to get his score? How is he working to get these numbers lower? I'll ask that question. See if he's actually working with somebody else.
The answer to that question, because I asked that question, not that way. I mean, I asked him, I said, so, I said, so what do you do when you get these violations? And he said, none, we're guilty. That's what he said. Seriously, that's what he said. No, he said nothing. Okay. He said, we're guilty. Like, they stop us, they write us up. It's true. That's what he said.
Okay. And he said he was looking for some help like this. So
he said he was looking for some help because DOT came in 6 months ago.
Yeah. So again, I'll ask what he would do. Have you spoken to anybody else? Like another company and things like that. And if he said no to all that stuff, and I'll say, great. I'll make sure, one, he understands what the SMS is all about. So why his numbers basically educate him on why those numbers look like they're and why they out of line. Then I'm going to ask him, what does he do with the drivers? If he has a safety meeting, what are they talking about with the drivers? Because what I would love to have the opportunity to do is consult with the drivers, and make sure they're doing the right thing, because a lot of the things that they're doing is what you share with me is driver error. Okay, the unsafe driving, crashes, who knows what happened with that. I will still continue to do some research on that. And if everything went smooth, with that, then I'll just set up that meeting with them, the drivers, do a presentation and lock them down. Because you gave me enough information there, and he said that he's looking for help. I mean, he's hot as heck right there. I don't really have to do too much with him because he's ready, he's hot. Now I just need to find out, when can I get in front of the drivers? If I cannot get in front of the drivers, then I'm gonna ask for a census report. And if he asks me why I need all that, and that simply is because I want to help the drivers understand, how they can lower this with our program. But before I share the program, I have to make sure they understand how the program works. The adjudicated citation program, hopefully that helps out. But you gave me enough information. It's like almost like, geez, I'm just want to talk to the drivers and sign them up.
Well, that would have been easy, but after asking all those questions that you were going to ask, come to find out, his score is that high, they don't get fines. None of those violations came with fines. None of them. None of them came with a court date.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what can you do?
Well, again, I could educate them and let them know that they're taking warnings. Look like they're taking warnings, which is if they don't have any fines, I say I don't know anything about all the fines, but the points, the numbers are the numbers. They out of service. The driver's behavior is pretty bad. So when your vehicle's out of service that much, there's a miscommunication between the driver's responsibility around it. Do they walk around the vehicle, post and pre? They're not doing that. And then the driver's just blatantly, it's just, it's just out of it. That's why I want to talk to the drivers. Love to talk to the drivers and find out what they're doing and try to correct their behavior. And then we correct their behavior, then I can share with them how we can help them to keep these scores low, or by using this process of asking for, making sure they don't get these warnings, they actually getting hopefully a citation where we can fight it.
Okay. Well, he was in agreement that his drivers were kind of like dirt bags. He would talk to him, and one guy has had his CDLs for 20 years, but he had never drove a truck, but he had his CDLs. And he didn't know that until he started his habits, his behavior. But his thing was that he just never got any fines, and actually he had never seen the report until DOT came in. Right. So he's never went out on the public site. He's never went into his portal, none of that. So, it's like you can offer the program, but right now only thing the program can do for him is maybe the CSA, the consultation. Right. But other than that, he don't have anything. He can't use anything else for the program.
Correct. And that's why I mentioned to him, I have to talk to him more, share some information with them, make sure they understand, what they're doing or what they could do before I offer anything. And then also through that whole process, if this guy don't care, some people are just suspects.
No, it wasn't an owner that didn't care. It's just that some of his drivers he felt was they didn't have the experience. So he fired them. So DOT explained to him that even with him firing him, that he was still affected for 2 years. That's the stuff he didn't know. So, so I just wonder how, because I think you did the right thing by asking questions, because one would look at those numbers and go in and just talk about everything that we do. Oh, we do this, this, and this. Right. But he was going to end that conversation by saying, well, I ain't never got any fines. We don't have any we don't get any court dates or anything like that. And actually, I've never seen anything. I've never, seen anything he could do anything with that. So, so I just wonder how, as the associates would, handle that. Because had I not asked all those questions, I would have I just shot myself in the head. Right. Coming in just assuming because the numbers are high, he got a lot of violations.
Right.
But dude said he never had a court date. They've never been fined, any of that. That stuff just hitting his record. So.
Yeah, and that's good. Those are good things, and you got a lot of information. What again, like what I was thinking through that process when you shared it all, once DOT gets in there, I'm gonna ask them, well, what is it they're telling you to correct? I would love to see that report, what they have to, what you got to correct, and then find out what his game plan in correcting those things, and then from there. Again, we can offer a proposal or something, some type of help, because the number one thing that I do is just try to be a consultant, see how I can help them. Because like we all know, once you find the hot buttons, which is a lot here, but the bottom line is they're out of compliance.
Yeah, I mean, I handled that on my part with that, but the program itself, he, at the point he just didn't, I didn't see the point of having the. I mean, he wasn't at a place he needed a program. Like he really did. Like he didn't have any fines. He don't get in court. I mean, the program, you put the drivers in the program, but they're not getting anything to use the program with. So
that's important though to know though. That's important to know when somebody's like when they can't use the service. Like again, just as important it is to know when there's a sale, you should know when there's not a sale.
It's not a sale. He was open. He was like, I need help. And my thing was how you handle that. He said we get written up. We don't get any fines. He said, he said all that stuff that's on my report, DOT showed it to me. I've never seen that. I just seen the paperwork that the drivers. He said I've never been to my safer report. He said, we don't get court dates and we don't get any fines.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We never got any of that. So,
Allison, I don't know the answer to this question. Sharanda probably does because she's in that space. Whether it affects their insurance or not, I'm not 100% sure. But if it, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, the report is bad. His scores are bad. His report is bad. Yeah, that's why DOT came in. I mean, we look at him, his numbers are bad. But after having conversation with him, he hasn't got any. He wasn't fined for any of that. They didn't have any court dates for any of that. But yes, it triggered DOT to come in and do a compliance review of his company, and he passed that. He had some. They educated him on some things with his files, but other than this other stuff, he didn't get written up. He didn't get fined for that on the compliance review.
Makes a lot of sense. Hey, Jim, I see your hand up real quick. And real quick before Jim
he's been in business since 2015.
Anthony, and thanks for chiming in and speaking. And again, character building, guys. Like always take that opportunity because guess what's going to be easier for Anthony? To do a presentation with somebody because he just did it in front of 52 people. When you can do a presentation in front of 52 people, right? Some of which is waiting for you to make a mistake because that's just how we think, right? It's like, oh, what's if you mess up, right? When you got people watching you, right, that know the business, because it's different. When you're talking to somebody that don't know nothing about what we do, you can actually say something wrong and they won't know. Most of the people on this line would know if you said something wrong. So you're doing a presentation in front of certification trainers, field trainers, people have been in Legal Shield 10, 15, 20 years, and you're doing a presentation. And that takes a lot of courage to do that on a Zoom like that with your camera on. That's even harder than doing it on a phone. Nobody can see you. So that I want to commend you on that, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And Jim, your hand is up. I wanted to get you because I saw your hand up.
Yeah, my approach would be completely different. I realized that I would try to help him understand that he's in business to be able to move freight. That is his business. He wants to be able to move from A to B, and his company has to be attractive in order for that to be done. That would be kind of the way that I would hold my conversation with him to help him understand that with all of the tickets, all of the violations, all of the things that's going on, number one, he's going to be less attractive. His insurance rates are going to go up. He's not going to get as much business as he potentially could get. And I would help him understand that we have a program that would help him in this whole area. Would he be interested in taking a look at things? And then that's would be my approach. Rather than to talk about the product or any of that stuff, I'd be bringing in a problem that he might not even, well, I know he knows why he's in business, but let's help him understand that we can help him promote his business or do better in his business if he had all of this stuff taken care of. And so now we're talking to him from a consulting standpoint, nothing to do with products. We get into that. That's a part of the solution part of it. But let's get into a little dialogue to have him understand how also making his company less attractive. So that's where I would go.
Well, that's a good approach. Absolutely, Mr. Hicks. So this was my prospect today. And when I went in, I asked a lot of questions. That's how I got to the answers that I found out. I don't just look at the numbers and assume. Yeah, he's probably losing some business because his numbers are high. His safety scores are high. Like I said, that's why DOT came in 6 months ago. So it is a problem, but so he and I came to a conclusion, but I just know that he was that ideal client when we're researching. I mean, if we don't have a conversation with this guy, he's the ideal client. Oh, his numbers are high. You know, he just got a lot going on. But after talking to him, you know, if his drivers were in the program, just say they were one of them had our plan. You know, a couple of them had our plan. They couldn't have used it but for anything but a consultation with the law firm, and that's that CSA consultation. Because just like the points are adding up on him, you know, they're adding up on the driver too. So they could get that consultation about, you know, the write-ups, you know, that's coming against them. But other than that, the program couldn't have done anything for them. And so, yeah, absolutely. He and I talked about data queue. He wasn't aware of that, even though, you know, he said that, you know, a lot of the violations, they were guilty as charged. Again, you know, I gave him the scenario where I talk about, you know, just like the burglar or the murderer, you know, they can tell their attorney, right? I did it, man. I killed him. I'm telling you how I did it. But that lawyer's gonna go into that courtroom and defend him as if he was innocent, right? Because that's his attorney. So that's, you know, I had him to understand that DataQ gives him the ability to dispute those, whether, you know, if he had some type of proof, or even through if he had our program through the consultation, they could give him the verbiage, you know, the drivers, the verbiage to help DataQ. But other than that, yeah, he knows that his scores are bad, but really and truly, the program, they wouldn't have been able to use it, you know, and at this point in the game since 2015, he has, because his company, after talking to him, his company is more like what they call a second chance company. So he's a guy that hires individuals who have had positive drug tests, but they're going through the substance abuse program. So his company really is he's doing, you know, good things to give people jobs and stuff, but he has some drivers that just are not doing things properly, and he's firing them. So my thing to him was to explain it still affects him, you know, because they're quick to fire them, thinking, oh, let me get this bad seed out, not knowing that it's going to affect them for 2 years. So it was a lot of education, but honestly, like Dunbar said, the program it's just, you know, and we can't say what tomorrow will hold. He might get pulled over tomorrow and they get a citation with maybe a fine or a court date, and they could use the program. But the record that they have now, they haven't had that, so they wouldn't have even used the plan.
But that's maturity in selling though, Sharanda. Like and for those that stayed on this long, it's just a nugget to be captured in all of this, which is because we talked about spending commissions on your, we talked about it. This was a better example than a company that with all those things wrong, you could have fixed it. Why? Because it's just as important to know who is not a prospect. And it's important to say, okay, I realize that you're not a prospect, but like Jim said, like Anthony said, like you said, I'm going to still have a conversation with you to educate you, because I'm not going to dismiss you because you can't buy my product. Because there may be a time where 2 months from now, that guy might get a violation, say, okay, now I got a violation where I could fight this. Let me call that girl back. Let me call that guy back, because you spent time educating that person even after you knew you couldn't sell them something. But
I told him, I said, it's a program out here, I say, but with the scenario that you've shared, you couldn't have used it at this point. I say, but we can't predict tomorrow, right? Or I gave him the scenario with those crashes. I say, well, I talked about what if somebody sued him? My mind went to the business plan. Then I talked about what if somebody died? Now your driver got to deal with that. I say, and our program could have helped with those. I say, but with the habits that your drivers have and the experience that you've had with these inspections, right now the program wouldn't have helped that. I say, but tomorrow might be different. I say, and the program, I always offer the program, but if you come to me after the fact, just know it's at a 25% discount. If you wait, you know what I'm saying, to that time. But, I let him know about it, but, if he didn't see the value in it, I understood it, because he couldn't have used it. Like, they couldn't have used it.
Right.
And so therefore, just know, if you say, hey, I want to put the drivers in this program, just know if something has happened, it's going to be at a 25% discount.
And for all those listening, it helps you in the long run when you're transparent and you're honest about those kind of things. Because like me personally, like for those that spend any time around me, if you call me about buying a regular legal plan because you're trying to sue somebody, I'm not gonna sell it to you. I'll push you to the corporate website, because I know that that's not gonna be a good experience. Like, to buy Legal Shield to sue somebody, that's not what it's for. But somebody will call me and they will be I need to get a lawyer, and I know that y'all have a program, and I got this going on. And I'm gonna sue these people. And I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't use them for that. Or I've been in a bad car accident. I'm grabbing people. I say, look, I sell Legal Shield. I'm a proponent of it, but you probably need to call the twins for that. You need to call Farrah and Farrah. You need to call one of them, because that's what they do for a living. Legal Shield, they didn't build this to go after people that that did do wrong in a car accident a month ago. That's not going to be the best experience. I want my client to have the best experience so that they remain a client, so I get referrals. And chances are, on a scale of 1 to 10, if somebody got into a car accident last month, and Farrah and Farrah and Harold and Jeff and Sharanda couldn't help them, Legal Shield probably can't either. And if I sell them Legal Shield, they're going to drop it a month later, and all it's going to do is hurt my retention. All it's going to do is give me a chargeback of it if I'm in the space where I get upfront commissions. All of that for what? So I can gain some points or a couple of dollars right now, and it's going to disappear a month later. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If I know that they're not going to have a good experience and I know what they're about to use it for, Legal Shield doesn't promote that as themselves. Oh, sell us to people who had a car accident, and they feel like the people their insurance is not paying. If you have the membership and that happens, then use it. But I wouldn't sell it for that reason. right? I had a girl that she was trying to sell it to street people. I know all these I said, drug dealers. I said, no, don't do that. Don't sell it to drug dealers. if you got the membership and you catch a drug case, call your law firm. You already got the membership, right? But I'm not going after I'm not going after criminals, so to speak, right? I know innocent until proven guilty, but you follow? I'm not selling it because that's not the experience. That's not a good experience, which means I'm not going to have a good business, because what makes your business good is your employees, your product, and your customers. If you got a great product but bad employees or bad customers, then you got a bad business running. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these prospects. I know we want to qualify and open up groups and feel good about getting 3 or 4 new sales because we opened up a group for the first time or whatever, but don't let it be a bad experience for you on the back end because you did it the wrong way. Be able to identify a bad client just like you can identify a good client. And that was like one of the best examples that I've seen of that, where all bad numbers, you get excited, you call, but you ask the right questions because you're not, no commissions on your breath. Let me make sure, I see your numbers, but let me make sure you're a prospect. Ask the right questions and find out they're not getting court dates. Nothing that can be fought. Our membership wouldn't help them. They're not a prospect. Let me educate you because you could be a future customer. So it just makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Allison got her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Allison.
I got a question. You know, I was looking up one of the companies, and it said their status was non-authorized. It could be a lot of reasons why that's there, right? They have 12 vehicles and 13 employees, and they did over 1 million miles last year. But now it's saying non-authorized.
Yeah, all that don't mean anything when it comes to that now. But yeah, so it could mean, well, right now they're not supposed to be on the road.
Okay,
So,
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right.
So they don't supposed to be on the road right now. Yeah, and it could be a lot of different reasons.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, it's 9:56. We're getting later and later. So I know y'all got families and lives and all of that other good stuff that y'all want to get back to at some point. So
that's how they do on Thursdays, man.
So we're gonna let you guys go. We appreciate you guys hanging around until almost 10 o'clock. 40, almost 50 of you all. We'll be back again next week doing some more to hopefully help you guys. Thank you for we had our guest appearance from Anthony Norris today. So thank you, Mr. Anthony Norris. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the
thanks, Rhonda.
you got voluntold.
Yeah, right.
Put on the spot. So no, we thank you guys for the questions and for plugging in and all.
That was Jackie Hamilton called you out.
Oh, that was Jackie. Oh. Thanks, Jackie.
We appreciate you guys.
Love you.
Thursday is the accountability call. And Shwanda, is there another training date?
Yeah, it's John. John is next.
Oh, John. What's the next
John
training
is
date,
next. John is the 24th, he said.
That's
Right,
September
John?
24th, yeah. September 24th.
And that's a Saturday?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, September 24th, guys. Put it on your calendar for those that's looking to get on. I know there's a couple of people who said they missed it. They want to get on the next one. So Saturday, September 24th, and I'm sure it'll be on the Facebook page from Sharanda, from Alan, from John, from me. So it'll be there. You guys will see the link there, and I'll get some emails out about it as well. So thanks again, guys, for joining us, sticking with us this long. We look forward to seeing you guys again next week. And of course, Sharanda looks forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. You guys all have a great night.
All righty.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Good all.
Good night, all.
Good night,
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Kara, good night.
Good night.
Thanks so much.
Good night, all.
Good night.